Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. This is a pathetic day in this town, in my opinion. Are we a major league sports town? This is a pathetic, pathetic day. I can't believe they did it. I really can't. How in the world do you trade somebody who's that talented at that age when you have them under team control for as long as they have them under team control? If he says in the last year of his contract, I am not re-signing with you, well, then I don't blame the team for trading him. Like, what are you supposed to do about something like that? You know, in the end, if Bryce Harper had made his intentions known that he didn't want to be here, they would have traded him, and I wouldn't have faulted the Lerners or Mike Rizzo or the Nationals, because, look, not everybody wants to be wherever they are, you know, and that's fine. This guy wasn't asking for a trade. This is a pathetic day. Like, I can't wait to hear their explanation as to why they couldn't hit the brakes on something like this and not trade a generational player away prematurely. Like, by yesterday when Tim Kirkshin went on this air and said, I don't think they're going to trade him, I at least felt like for a second, I was like exhaling for a moment here and going, this was a big giant game of chicken to scare the guy. And now we found out it isn't. They traded away a generational player. I have watched too much sports to know what that guy is. And short of injuries, he's going to break records for somebody. He does it with a smile on his face. He does it locked in. He's not a malcontent. Like, he's a good teammate. There was reporting that his teammates were asking management last week, are you really seriously going to do something like this? He is the last man standing of a championship team. He is as marketable as anybody in sports. He's a good ambassador for the team. He could have been Ovechkin for baseball in this area. And you just trade him away? Why? Why would you do that? Because you got offended that he turned down a contract prematurely? I hear you on that part. But you aren't making that decision in 6 months. Why, as you go out the door, would you do this? Why would you put that on your legacy? Why? You won a World Series here. You redeveloped a part of town. You gave this town a winner for a long time. And you go out the door stripping it down and taking away maybe the best piece they'll ever have at 23? You do that? Why? I'm sorry, Mr. Lerner. You have to hold a press conference and explain to me why it was okay for you to do this.
I agree. I think that's the one thing that's been missing.
You could have stopped this.
Yep.
Mike Rizzo is told what to do. If he tried to trade this person and you said no, he's not allowed to. So you said yes. Why did you say yes to that?
Mm-hmm. Why did you say yes to this guy and then you said no to Bryce Harper in 2018?
Well, he probably felt burned by that one, and I get it. Like, he didn't want to trade him because he didn't want to trade him.
Doesn't mean they're the same situations, though.
Artie Moreno stepped in. They wouldn't let their team trade Shohei Ohtani for a lot of reasons.
That's right.
And in the end, I was like, that's what's going to happen here. They're going to step in. They're going to, everybody, chill out. There's no set of prospects that are worth this guy. He is as marketable as anybody you'll ever have. He's 23. He's not demanding anything as far as we can tell. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous to do what they did today. Why would you do that when it's not your decision to make in 6 months from now? Let the new owner deal with it. And if the new owners, and I keep hearing all these people say, well, the new owners want this decision done before they buy the team. Kick rocks! You want to buy a baseball team or not? And you know what? Like, what, you want to buy the team, but you don't want to make tough decisions? Then why do you want to buy the team? What do you think this is?
Right.
You don't think you're going to have a tough decision in 6 months? Oh, we got to get all that out of the way before we buy the team. Well, then maybe you aren't the person to buy the team then.
Mm-hmm.
These are the types of decisions the owner has to weigh in on. This is where good ownership comes in. And they steady the ship, and they keep their stars, and they try to make them happy. And I never expect it to be 100% because I think they truthfully wanted to keep Bryce Harper. He just didn't want to be here. And for whatever reason, he didn't want to be here. And okay, fine. You can't win on everybody. But in this case, with this guy, this is way too premature. And you're selling the team. Why would you get rid of him? Why would you walk out the door with that?
If you want more insult to injury, the clubhouse just opened up at Nats Park. Media, of course,
scurrying around. I feel bad for the players today. I feel bad for Dave Martinez today because they're going to have to answer a lot of questions that they don't want to answer that they had nothing to do with. Nothing. And this guy did nothing wrong here. It's crazy. Crazy.
If you want insult to injury, Juan Soto and Josh Bell's lockers were already cleaned out. They weren't even available to speak with the media.
Well, I mean, you know, what's he going to say here? I'm sure he will, because he seems like the type of guy that will do this. Probably write a thank you letter to Nationals
Well, I was going to say, I don't know. When your 23-year-old phenom is being traded, I think he deserves to say something to everybody.
That's the other thing, and this is really a minor part of this today. Why the hell is Josh Bell in that trade?
Yeah, I agree.
This is the second time where I'm like, you just put a guy who, like, happens to be a valuable asset just in a trade for, I don't know, the hell of it?
Right.
What are we doing?
There's a lot of layers to this. That's one that I think is the most baffling. This is now the second year in a row where Mike Rizzo, who I like a lot, but it's the second year in a row where it seems like he has put both his main eggs into the same basket and gotten a return that doesn't seemingly match what he should.
I don't understand it. Why couldn't he trade Josh Bell in a separate trade and get other assets? Does that make no sense to anybody?
Right.
Why would he be in that trade today?
Right.
I freaked out when he did the Turner thing last year where prematurely got rid of a star player because they clearly didn't want to pay him a year and a half in advance and became a throw-in to get a deal done that included a surefire Hall of Famer.
Right.
Listen, I don't pretend to be a GM, but I don't think that either one of those deals are right.
I agree.
They seem wrong. They seem weird. Like, I don't know what in the world is going on here. And this team, they've got a lot of explaining to do from the management down. Why are you guys acting like you're the Pirates? What are you doing? Mm-hmm. Even the Pirates, when they land on a really great player, sign him.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Even the Rays, who landed on a really great player, signed him. This guy did nothing wrong here. Not a thing. The guy took his job seriously. He seemed to be a great teammate, an unmarketable, unbelievable ambassador. Everybody loves the guy. He seems like he's a great teammate. The manager loves him, complains about nothing, right? And people go up to him and they're like, after the sell-off last year, like, well, it's just you. And he's like, I know, and that stinks, but hey, I'm a professional and has been. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What do you think, these guys just grow on trees? You can find them anywhere? This dude is on track to be Barry Bonds, and you got rid of him at 23 with 2+ years of team control? Shame on you. What are you doing? Why are you in this business? You don't like the cost of doing business in this thing now? Then don't own the team. And if you're not going to own the team, don't strip it down with no reasoning behind it. Utterly ridiculous.
This is
terrible.
This is what I don't really understand about the Lerner's business now. They constantly let players walk, then compensated by signing a free agent.
That's right.
Right? Constantly. And you know what? It worked. It did work. They stayed competitive. They had the greatest free agency signing ever in Max Scherzer.
That's right.
I'm not hot taking that. I think it's true. He's going to be a surefire Hall of Famer. And here it is, though. This was not yours to make. As I say to you, it's a public trust. And you owed it to the fans. The few that have been showing up to your ballpark this year, to those of us that talk about him every day, you owed it to them to at least give him a chance to re-sign here with new ownership. And that's all him and Scott Boras did say. Remember that they did say, we want to know who's going to own the team. And you know what? If that new ownership started to bid against themselves and did offer him the $500 million deal, and then they said no, that's a whole other conversation. But
if he turns it down from the second ownership, then you know what? Like, I'm not stupid enough to know that you have to trade the guy. Fine.
Right.
You just didn't have to do it this week at all. I don't care how offended you are that he decided not to take a lot of money. And I will hear you out on that is beyond offensive. And Mr. Lerner, if you offer me $400 million, I will take it.
Right.
So I hear you on that. And I can only imagine, especially for people that are in that kind of world, the idea of someone not accepting that is utterly, literally ridiculous. And you know what? I agree with them on that. Still, it was his right to do so. Still, he's going to be the employee of this team for 2+ years, and things can change. And most importantly, who cares? It's not your money. You're not going to own the team anymore. Why would you do this? Mm-hmm. And I draw the line at him. Like all the other ones that happened, these are very good players, and there's a lot of reasons behind these things happen, and I'm willing to hear them out on the reasons why they happen. And when put in a lump, as they are today by a lot of groups, without the nuance of following it every day, I think it could be unfairly cast them as a place that just casts people aside when the Rendon thing happened, when the Strasburg thing happened, when the Harper thing went down the way it went down. Like, look, I don't blame them for everything that's happened here, but this one is unacceptable.
And not
it's
to mention,
unacceptable.
In that list of players, who do we start with? In the Harper, Rendon, Turner, Soto hierarchy, they never said it out loud, but we all told ourselves, well, you don't re-sign that guy because we see what's coming down the pipeline. You don't re-sign Harper because this guy Juan Soto is going to be amazing and Rendon's going to be a free agent. They don't have any of them now.
None of them.
They do not have a single game changer on their roster right now. Not one. And if you look at that roster in 2018, that was Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Anthony Rendon, Daniel Murphy, Ryan Zimmerman, Howie Kendrick, Max Scherzer was a starter. Strasburg was a starter. Gio Gonzalez was a starter. They have none of them now. Not a single one of them. That's heartbreaking, man.
It's pathetic.
As a diehard fan of this team, I didn't think we'd be the Pirates, but it's like we're the extreme version of the Pirates. We found all the talent that you need to compete, and they tore it all down because their roster sucked, essentially.
This is what the Marlins did, 20-some years ago. Won a World Series.
But that was salary dumps.
Got rid of salary dumps.
They're not paying anyone. They're paying 2 pitchers. And 2 pitchers doesn't ruin your roster.
And then if I hear one more person tell me that the team is worth more without his contract on the roster.
Freaking joke.
What are you talking about?
Right.
Oh, having the most marketable player on your team, that's bad? In what world is that bad?
Imagine if someone bought the Orioles 3 years after Cal Ripken won a World Series. Are they trading him away? Because that's essentially what's happening.
And I am sick of talking about the possible things that the next owner is thinking about in this moment. Because do you want to buy the team or not?
Yes.
You will have large decisions that you will face throughout. And if you are bothered by this first one that we have to make right now, then maybe you're not cut out to do it. So don't even bid on the thing. This is a serious business. It's a public trust. We expect you to make decisions on behalf of your customers and your fans. And what happened today was counter to what anybody would have wanted. Utterly ridiculous to do this today. Utterly ridiculous. And I don't even want to hear him explain to me all the prospects he got back. None of them are going to be like this guy. Not one of them, and not even close. Because if they were, they'd be playing for that team right now.
Sure.
Utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, we cut off a couple years of our rebuild. Your rebuild is your fault because you guys can't develop people. That's your problem. Mm-hmm. This is an indictment of you in every level. You break the public trust by trading away maybe one of the greatest players we've ever seen at this age prematurely to cover up your mistakes in how you put together an organization, especially on the farm system. This is an indictment of all of you. Horrible decision. Horrible decision making.
As I said.
Unbelievable.
Imagine trading Cal Ripken after he won a World Series. Could you imagine?
This is so, listen, every team makes very tough decisions. 5 o'clock, I want to talk about hardest moments for all of them.
Sure.
And what I thought about when I saw this actually happening, the one that really guts me the most in thinking through the years is trading Chris Webber at the age that the Wizards Bullets traded Chris Webber. Sure. Because you're just looking at this going, we're going to be in the playoffs every year with that guy. And we may make runs with that guy. He's that kind of talent. And, he may not be, Juan Soto might be the best player in baseball. No one was saying that about him then, but he might have been a top 5 player on our team. And how long we waited for that, and we threw it away.
Yep.
Threw it away. And this does not and will not ever make any sense to me at all. And I hope he has a great career.
Sure.
I really do. He has done nothing wrong here. I got great joy in watching him play while he was in this uniform. I appreciated his professionalism over the last year and a half, based
Especially
on
the past 3 weeks,
yes,
too.
and you know what? He deserved better than this. Even for a second to think you weren't wanted here, and I hope he never thinks that from this fan base, because I will forever remember him as somebody that should have never gotten away from this team, and certainly not prematurely like this. Utterly, utterly ridiculous. And when Rizzo, and I hope the learners, face the music on this one and meet the media and explain their reasoning, and I tell you what, it's going to be preposterous. Whatever they say it's going to go. I can't wait to hear how they try to frame this. What are they going to say that's going to make any sense? Rizzo's going to tell me he got a great package back.
Of course.
And I'm going to tell him, great, maybe we'll be 7 games under 500 next year. Awesome, with nobody that anybody cares about.
Right.
Unbelievable. What do I tell my kid today?
Good
Are
question.
you serious? What do I tell him today? You remember that guy who's totally awesome that I took you to the games to see and make you pay attention every time he's up because he's a generational player? Yeah, we just traded him because he wouldn't sign a contract 2 years in advance of his commitment to this team being up. Unbelievable. Yesterday I didn't think they were going to do it.
That was the worst part about it.
Yesterday,
That was the worst part about it.
after Kirksey came on, I went, oh my God, they're not going to do it. Okay. All right. We played a big game of chicken.
Yep.
I'm okay with high-level chicken. I'm okay with that.
Last hour, I said
Unbelievable.
It was the worst part about all of this, is that for 2.5, 3 weeks, we were told he'd be traded, and then it seemed like there was a ray of hope that it was a game of chicken. And now what it sounds like is that was almost, oh yeah, they might not trade him, and maybe that's what got the Padres to throw in their 14th ranked prospect or something.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the line, it's what's your best offer? Let's go. Do you want this guy or not? I don't blame the Padres for doing this, and they pulled full F them picks. That's what they did. Mm-hmm. They went, you know what? Let's just gut it. We have this crazy lineup right now. We add this to it. All of a sudden, we've got a crazy team. Let's take a run for a couple. They're all under contract. Let's take a run for a couple of years, and we'll deal with it when we deal with it in a couple of years with him. Yep. And in all likelihood, he won't, sign that. Now, to your point yesterday, if something happens, I hope nothing like this happens, but if one of these guys gets injured and they have a weird season and they're kind of floundering, they may trade him too.
Yes, correct. Exactly.
He may be traded again.
Get flipped for more.
Right. If it doesn't work out as planned, then guess what happens next summer? Right. They call around and go, who wants him? And then someone else shows up with 6 prospects and gives it back to him.
That's right.
And now Babe Ruth played for 5 teams in 6 years. Utterly ridiculous. I feel bad for this guy. He did nothing wrong. Nothing. I guess turning down that kind of money is so offensive to this group that they've decided, well, we just can't have you here anymore. But you're selling the team.
Here's the thing. You might have done.
Why are you so offended by it?
If Rizzo or the Learners want to make this big argument of this was the best thing they had to do for the team, I want you to talk to Red Sox fans, how they felt after they traded Mookie Betts, who I've also heard it's hard to trust the team when they trade a guy like that, even if you're hitting the reset button a little bit. Here it is that...
And they have no excuse. They have all the money on...
Correct.
Yeah, they sell out every game. They're
correct.
Massive media market.
Yep.
They do not have a monetary excuse ever.
Right. But there it was. They traded their best player, one of their best players ever,
because they didn't want to pay him
LA.
that contract.
They didn't want to pay him, and they needed a reset because they screwed up so far along the way that they needed to hit the reset button, right?
Yeah.
Here it is. You had 4 of those guys. 4 of them. It's not going to happen again.
No, it's not.
The buck stops here.
There's
no, oh, you're not paying Juan Soto, so you can pay Carter Keyboom. That's not happening.
I was so sad. Like the other day, what was it? A couple days ago, they had the draft pick, the first round draft pick was there, and they're showing him in the cage, and he's hitting a bunch of home runs, and I'm sitting there going, I feel bad for this dude.
Yeah, he's looking at Josh Bell for some advice. He's not going to be there.
I'm like, you're not going to be like any of these other guys.
Yeah.
It's not fair to you. Maybe I hope you are, but you're probably not going to be. The likelihood isn't you aren't. And I just feel like they did something today that this organization is going to regret for a long time.
Yeah.
For so long. And as someone who's just a fan of the teams in this town, I think this is one of the worst days we've ever had. It's so unnecessary. It's just the wrong guy to do this with. This was not a terse relationship. And I just don't get it. Especially under the circumstances by which you're selling the team. Well, then why do you even care right at this moment? Right. It's not like you have anything to do with their future.
Right.
Unbelievable.
No reason.
Why would you do that? Do you not like us? What is your... Why would you do that? It's a really kind of weird thing to do.
I agree.
It's akin to breaking up with your girlfriend and then throwing her stuff out the window onto the street and then putting lighter fluid on it and lighting it on fire. Did we not support you well enough? Because I don't understand why, as you're walking out the door, you would do something like this.
That's right.
So I beg you all to explain yourselves. Are you going to? Or are you going to hide from it?
Probably
and make Mike Rizzo answer. Dave Martinez should not have to answer a question today.
I agree.
It's not his fault.
Mm-hmm.
And all those players in that locker room, I feel terrible for them. Not only do they stink right now, but can you imagine how you would feel right now if you were like, what's the point of getting good here? I'll never be as good as that guy.
Yeah.
And they didn't value him.
There's a difference.
What's the point?
There's a difference between the Orioles and the Nationals clubhouse right now. The Orioles made a calculated, robotic decision in trading Trey Mancini and Lopez today. But everyone in that clubhouse knows it's a bummer on this year. But there's a lot coming. If you're the Nats clubhouse...
So what, we're just out of the Boris business now? We've just decided. At least this ownership is. They're like, we're sick of you.
Well, they're out. That's what I'm saying. That's the biggest problem with all this. No ownership's coming. You didn't have to deal with them anymore. You could have said, we're not going to negotiate with you anymore. The next owners are going to take a crack at it.
Yeah. Hey, we tried, but we're not trading them. Right. So get that out of your brain. And, you'll when you find out, you'll find out when we find out who the next owner is, and then I'm sure they'll come talking to you. And then you guys can decide what games you want to play with them, but we're done playing games with you.
That's right.
No, not this group. They hit the red nuclear button.
One more for you. You have to wait long. Tribute Video 2022 continues. Padres are here Friday, August 12th. So great. The fan base has to deal with another one, and it happens to be their most beloved player.
I feel bad for every single person that had no say in this decision that works for that organization today.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not right. It just isn't. It's the wrong thing to do. It's terrible. And I can't, for the life of me, come up with a very good reason to do this. And I don't want to hear, oh, they got this great package back. Okay.
Talk to me in 3 years.
They better be great.
Right.
I'll be happy to shut my big yap if they're 97 and whatever. Yeah. In a few years, because apparently the Padres had the greatest package of prospects in the history of mankind. I'm going to go with it ain't going to... The odds are all of the great players aren't on one team, are they?
Right.
They're that good of scouts, are they? We have 4 All-Stars. We just got 4 All-Stars, did we? Okay, buddy. I hope you're right about that. They could have sold this guy's jersey until the end of time.
That's right. That's right.
He was a walking immortal at 23, and you traded him. Pathetic. What town do I live in? Why would you do that?
Gotta take a break, but I'll give you thoughts on the public trust, how that goes now.
God, I like the Lerner family too. I defended them for years and years and years and years, and it's very hard to defend this today. Very hard to defend this.
Yep.
All right, I'll be right back. Bram Weinstein Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital.
Bram Weinstein Show on the new ESPN 630.
Where did we leave off? I'm like honestly upset about it. It's just so, I can't believe they did it. Why would you do that?
I'll tell you what the vibe is at the game tonight.
Are you going? Oh, man.
My brother-in-law's in town. He wanted to go to the game.
Mets. So all the non-Mets fans vibe. You're probably laughing at us today. Because we are. So now the Mets are sitting there going, we have 2 Marlins on our division. That's amazing.
Right. That's right.
We're Marlins North.
Mm-hmm.
Marlins North.
That's right.
What dumb fish should we call ourselves?
Snakefish.
Snakefish?
The DC
snakehead fish? We're the snakehead fish? What are we, the flounders? We're the flounder. This is really sad. I mean, it's just it's pathetic, honestly, if you ask me.
It's Little League. No pun intended. It's Little League.
I'm mad at you. What are you mad at him about?
I just want to reiterate, too, I always make fun of the Wizards for not acting like a top 10 market, that you are in a city that is the most powerful city in the world. And
I believe they try. I don't think they try enough.
They're trying now.
They're trying. I've been harping on this for years.
Sure.
You need to try harder, mingle, and they're doing it now. I think Two Guns does that. That change happened. Ernie was complacent. I'll find my guys, whatever, right? Why, you'll see. But like Two Guns is out, bang, 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 bang. And so I'm happy because
we hear they're kicking the tires on KD.
We hear they're kicking the tires.
Donovan
I think
Mitchell.
He's a rabid dog. Yeah. He's clearly
There's another one that we didn't even talk about that hit over the weekend. I forget which star it was. But
I feel better about that situation. Yep. I still think that they can't, come around to some of the right decisions about certain things, but I appreciate that they're trying. And I've been screaming about this for years with them. You guys are never involved in these conversations. How do you think you're going to get modern athletes to come here if you're not involved? Well, they seem to be now. And they may have another rabbit to pull out of a hat because there's a couple big names that have not moved yet. So, sure. Maybe. With the Nationals, what they've done over the last 2 years, makes me feel like I don't know how I feel about what happened in the past. It makes me feel like it was all done purposefully to launch a stadium but they didn't really care to maintain it. And so they just decided to get out from under it, which is their prerogative to do so. But why would you strip it down on your way out? That's the part I don't understand about it.
I don't get this at all. And this is, I tweeted this.
Selling a house and then ripping the wallpaper down while you're leaving. It doesn't even make any sense to me.
I tweeted this today. The Learners won a championship here, but their legacy remains murky. Because to me, it seems like.
I think what they did today, it goes on their gravestone as sports owners, and I don't understand why they did it.
Correct. Because
won a World Series, traded Juan Soto at 23.
Yeah.
And you have to live with that.
Right. And now you almost have to ask yourself, you bought the team 5 years after Ryan Zimmerman was here. So you fell into somebody that was here for 5 years and was the original draft pick. And you stuck by him every step of the way. Every rehab, you extended him a couple times to keep his career going here. You showed loyalty to him. Why did you not show that to anybody else? Literally, any other player. You want to argue Strasburg? Sure. That dude won a 2019 World Series MVP. So you kind of have to re-sign that guy. You did not show loyalty to any single player in that locker room. Now you did to free agents. Why was that? Why did Jason Worth get more respect from you than Juan Soto? Max Scherzer earned it. I'll give him that.
Oh, yeah.
But they let Jordan Zimmerman walk. They would have never gotten Max unless Jordan Zimmerman walked.
Desmond walked.
Every single player
Rendon walked. That's complicated. He got a lot of money that was not prudent to give to him.
And in each case, you could argue the Learners may have made the right decision. But at the end of the day...
The Turner one, they got rid of a year in advance.
And then the argument was, 2 postseason runs.
Yeah.
They get 2 postseason runs.
Yeah.
And the next year you turn around and say, Juan can give you 3. When have we ever had that conversation? Ever?
They're twisting themselves around.
You do it at the deadline.
They're twisting themselves around to explain why they're trading away all-stars in their prime.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to pay them. They don't like the cost of doing business.
Which means they should have never been in business in the first place.
Correct. And maybe they'll pull me aside and go, that Masson thing is choking us and has been for a long time. And I'd go, all right, you knew that when you bought him.
Yep.
And
right. That's not new.
This is you're
also top 5 richest owners too.
You know what else they're going to say? They're going to say, you remember that World Series we just won? Did you like that? They're going to go full Kirk on you. Did you like that? And I feel like Zimmer right now going, I'm so mad at you guys. Like, I can't believe, like, this one has no reasoning behind it. There is no merit behind doing something like this. Those Padres guys they got better be an all-star team, and they're not going to be, and you know it.
Right.
Which team has 6 all-stars waiting to come up and play?
None of them.
None of them. Why aren't they playing then? They make no money. Why wouldn't they be playing then if they're so great? This is so ridiculous. Like, if this guy was a jerk or something, I would think I'd get it a little bit, because they're just like, oh my God, like but he's not. He couldn't be more approachable, more nice, better teammate, have a big smile on his face, great work ethic. What's wrong with him? What about him don't you like, other than he didn't take that big check you offered him, which I hear you got offended by it. But you know what? Nobody's perfect, okay, guys? Nobody's perfect.
I undersold it. Steve Cohen's the richest owner in baseball at $14.6 billion.
Yeah.
Number 2, as of a study in 2020, was Ted Lerner.
Ted Lerner.
And you ran this franchise like you were the Pirates.
Well, he will tell you for 10 years they did not.
Okay, not like the Pirates, but you're running certain aspects of your franchise.
Listen,
like
I used to defend them when people were like, call them cheap, and I'm like,
right.
They paid Strasburg, they paid Scherzer, they paid Zimmerman, they paid Wirth, like
Corbin.
They didn't not pay people. Like that's not fair. I thought and then people, well, they didn't pay for the reliever. Well, there's a limit, I used to defend them for that.
Right.
And on Rendon, I defended them. I'm not expecting them to shell out $750 million in one offseason. You maniacs. And they picked the pitcher over the hitter. Okay, I would do that 9 times out of 10 too. Like, I didn't have a problem with that. The Strasburg deal did not end up looking very good. And in hindsight, they should have signed neither one of them.
Right.
But like, that's hindsight.
We all would have freaked out that offseason.
Of course. But when it really went crazy sideways was last year with Turner, where for no good reason whatsoever, they put him in a trade to offload him when there was no pressure to do so.
Right.
It's like they're Dodger spies, like they're espionage. We will make up reason to send all-star shortstop to other team for no reason. This is just, it's so pathetic. And I was like looking around the internet today, and Sporting News is putting out Mount Rushmores. And they put one out for Washington today.
I saw that over the weekend.
And they said in their thing it has to be an athlete. So because I'm like Joe Gibbs is on this, but but they said it has to be an athlete. And then they said actually all 4 teams don't have to be represented. So I was actually somewhat surprised to see that all 4 teams were represented. One is obvious, Alex Ovechkin, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They have Darryl Green as the former Redskin.
Sure.
And I'm okay. It's him. Sammy Baugh. If you're going to go player, it's him, Sammy Baugh.
Probably, but yeah.
That's it.
Arguable.
Fine. They put Wes Unseld, fine. Greatest bullet of all time, fine. Then they put Walter Johnson. And I'm like, well, he's one of the greatest pitchers of all time.
Right.
And that's pathetic. It's 1920, but like, whatever. They did. And I don't have an argument with it, but I'm just staring at this going, you know who would have replaced Walter Johnson?
Yep.
Number 22.
Yep.
That's who would have replaced him. And everybody knows it. And I don't need to be a GM to know an unusually incredible talent when you see it. And that's what this guy is. And you guys threw him away like he was trash. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Here's the other thing, too. I thought about this on Ryan Zimmerman's retirement day. Who are the next ones in line? And it's probably 31 for Max Scherzer, right? Probably 37 for Steven Strasburg. And then I said 22 for Soto. Gotta be.
Yeah.
Not now. And one of those guys out of the 3, you signed as a free agent, and the other guy happened to be a phenom that was at his best when he won a championship, and I think that deserves, a number retirement. But other than that, 12 years of your ownership, you have one guy that you fell into that had his number retired. If that isn't indicative of how they've handled their ownership, I don't know what is.
Mr. Rizzo, you didn't have to do this. You had a choice.
This is one where
you could sit
ugly.
there and tell me the owners told me to do it.
Yep.
And I liked your idea. Don't and resign.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm not putting my name on this. You have
1 year left anyways, man.
You don't know if the next owner is going to retain you.
That's right.
And what, you think you're not going to get another job? You are.
Right.
But you did it, so you got to live with it. You're the GM that did that. You did it. Ownership group. I can't wait to hear you explain why you did this while you're selling the team.
The best thing
it makes no sense.
The best thing the newest owners can do is say, we don't know what those learners were thinking. We would have never traded them. That's whether they believe it or not. That's what the newest owners should come in and do.
The newest owner ought to go, when he's up for a deal, we will offer him a competitive contract to bring him home.
Then take whatever the tampering fine is.
Fine.
I would love it.
Yeah. Even if they don't mean it, they should say it.
I agree.
It's so crazy. It's sad. It's really sad. Like, it's not right. It's sad. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because there's just a lot of stories about the price of winning in sports now. It's gone up exponentially. Like, the Warriors owners are doing interviews saying we're not going to apologize for spending what ends up being with the luxury tax $500 million to have a championship basketball team. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, right.
If you really want to compete with the Dodgers, you have to do what the Padres did, which is add on these otherworldly lineups. Like the money that's being spent. I'll hear out the owners. It's difficult business these days. Ted had to give $50 million a year to Bradley Beal, who's a very, very good basketball player, but is not a P1 championship basketball player. Yeah. He has to do that just to retain him. And he did do it, right? And he did. And we're learning in the NFL right now, you can mess with the cap. It's really about, are you willing to put an outlay of money in terms of signing bonuses up front? And our capologists will figure it out, but we need you to basically overspend on a particular year to make a run. And so big-time sports has fallen into a place where you need not only a deep-pocketed owner, but one who is willing to understand that there's a cost of doing business. And the part about this that really bothers me is clearly the learners couldn't stomach that any longer for probably a variety of reasons, but they took away something from us that wasn't their right to take away from us, in my opinion. I think they did something. They're supposed to be caretakers of this. And I think what they did today was just wrong for all of us. It's just wrong to do that. If this was his last year of his contract and he wasn't signing that deal, I'm big boy. I'll be like, all right, listen, we got to do what we got to do here. Unfortunately, we got to do what we got to do. That's just not what was happening today. It's not what the circumstances were. There are no merits to do something like this. And I'm really sad. As a fan of all these teams around here, you've turned this baseball team from a champion to a laughingstock overnight, and to the point where if I'm anybody in that clubhouse or in that farm system right now, looking at what happened today and what happened last year, I would be wary about what my future is with an organization, even if I do succeed. Are they going to value me, or are they just going to dump me the second they have an opportunity to do so?
Right.
It's a pathetic day in our sports history. It really is. It's pathetic.
We poke and prod at him, but we both love him, and that would be Ted. And I
love Ted.
Oh, right. I know.
I pick on him a lot, but it's out of love. It's not because I dislike him. It's out of love, actually. And he has a funny voice. And he looked like a mob boss 20 years ago. He slicked his hair back. It's his fault.
The pictures of the Yarmir Yager presser are just the absolute best thing ever. But I look at it, and this is the alternate reality when you don't have an owner like Ted. And I've had my knocks against Ted.
Yes.
And
I think he's too loyal sometimes. But it's hard-pressed to really get mad about it. Because it's like, well, geez, he's just trying to retain the guys we love. And here, I'm like, maybe you shouldn't have given Backstrom all that money. See? but I also didn't want you trading him to the Jets either.
And here's where my point in lies. Ted gets made fun of in this town a little bit, but largely he lets the chips fall where they may with his own stars. And ultimately, there's a lot of questions about that. And there were a lot of questions about the Caps of, were they doing it the right way? And what happened? They did it. They did win a championship the right way. And they're keeping those guys. And it's been tough to swallow since then, right? They have not made it out of the first round. They forced...
There were some cold... I've been on this
Game 7. They fell into a Game 7 last year.
I've been on this for 3 years saying there are some cold-hearted decisions that do have to be made, right? And it doesn't mean you don't love these guys, and it doesn't mean you can't put their numbers up in the Raptors. But if the object is to be competitive forever and not have old-timers day prematurely, then you have to make some decisions sometimes.
Right.
But I agree. I talk about Ted a lot, and I make fun of Ted a lot. But it's out of love because I appreciate him as a caretaker. And I know people will be like, well, the Wizards have stunk forever. I will argue, nobody ever wants to hear this, I think he's been a little unlucky with that, actually. That, like, the arena stuff, we don't know how far that would have gone had he not gotten hurt. Forget the gun thing. But, had he not gotten hurt. Or the same with Wall. Wall getting hurt in that one playoffs and then having a devastating injury later in his career, we never got to really see them mature together and what it would have been. And so I think Ted's been a touch unlucky with that, and maybe a third time will be a charm if he can find somebody with Beal that can do this, because I do think he deserves more success than he's gotten to this point. Even as people make fun of him for how the Wizards have performed, I don't think he's deserved the outcomes he's gotten over his tenure of owning the team.
And basically what I'm getting at here is look across town, and the team that has gotten the guys Ted would sign and lock up for life has let all of them go.
All of them.
Whether that means free agency or trading them.
So
I'm just saying, I think I know which one I'd rather walk through life with. And that's the Caps and the Wizards way, taking their lumps, not this way. And granted, a new owner is going to be able to do what they want, but guess what? The other painful reality is the Learners did spend and had top 5 paying rosters in certain ones of those years, but they just have not retained any of their talent moving forward.
Look, Scherzer was old, so okay.
Right. Right. Yep.
Rendon got an enormous contract for someone at his age that was, you can't, and I don't blame them for it, especially with Strasburg up at the same time. Turner's one doesn't make any sense to me, and I agree with you, just generally, they did seemingly always value the people on the outside and not the people on the inside, and that's true.
And they got lucky on their guys on the outside, to be honest. Yes. The fact that really not one of them... I wouldn't even say that, though. Most of them didn't pan out. Bryce Harper won frickin' MVP last year. He's been worth the money for the Phillies. Has he been injured here and there? Yeah, but largely been worth it.
We knew that with him.
Right.
He's this guy's going to be a perpetual all-star when he plays. Like, we knew that.
Right.
We knew it was walking out the door.
Guess what? Had you spent and, signed Harper, I don't know if you're winning a World Series. Let's be honest here. We don't know if they are.
Well, had they done it with Harper... I think they would almost certainly not be doing it with Soto. We'd be having a weird conversation right now, right? But I would at least hear them out on, boy, you have 2 generational players. What are you going to do? And I could at least hear out an argument, guys, it's not a blank check.
I also know they wouldn't suck as much either.
Right. This is pathetic. All right, let me take a quick break. Bray wants to show ESPN 630 Sports Capital. I'm going to spend 5 minutes not talking about the Juan Soto thing, and I'll get back into it at 4 o'clock, where I really want to ask a big question. Who do you blame here? Who do you really blame here for this? But since I'm not going to watch them for the rest of the year, I'm looking for TV shows. And I got a good one for you. Have you heard about The Bear?
I have. I got a warning about this one from my brother who used to work in a kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, he says every single person tells him he should watch it, but he's already heard from other people that work in kitchens, like...
It's a little over the top.
Yeah. I'm still probably going to watch it
It's one of those... okay, so this falls into that category of when I see people do stories about newsrooms, and everyone tells me the newsroom acts like that, and then I watch it and I go, that's really not how it functions. Nothing is that hyper all the time.
That's right. No one's on the phone saying, get that source!
Yeah.
No one does that.
Nobody breaks the story every 15 minutes.
Right.
Kind of doesn't work that way. Anyway, but I liked it. So, all right, was it okay, so was it too realistic, not realistic enough? Was it a little... I thought it was good.
Okay.
It was very good. There is a part, and this I feel like we're in a Twitter universe of television show now in story arcs. At some point, you've got to tell me why we're here. Because like the acting's really good. The premise is this guy comes home to take over his brothers, and it's set in Chicago, and they have like a really old rundown sandwich shop, but it's like a classic Chicago place, but they're barely making ends meet for a lot of reasons. Neighborhood's gone downhill, place hasn't been run particularly well. The brother died, killed himself, left the place to the brother. There's a complicated relationship with the family. But it's a working kitchen, and the working kitchen, the people have all been there a long time, and so they all work together. And the brother who comes home to try to prove himself to his family went and became this like very famous chef at a very famous restaurant. Now is coming home and slinging sandwiches to try to keep the family place afloat. And the acting in it is outstanding, it's great, and all the scenes are great, shot great, the whole thing's great. And then, but by about episode 4, you're like, why did the brother kill himself? Can you just tell me why we're here?
Yeah,
you know, like
right, exactly.
Why did the brother feel like he had to come back when he doesn't have a relationship with these people now? You know, like, you got to give me the why. But I will say this: it's well acted, it's high pace, it feels realistic enough to me in a kitchen. It's high energy, and then if you can get to the final 2 episodes, 7 and 8, there's a great payoff. For those 2, and I won't give that away.
All right.
But because in the middle, you'll be like, all right, I've seen this episode 3 times now. They're all yelling at each other in the kitchen.
All right? Essentially, that's kind of the gist that I got from it when my brother was saying, like, it's
episodes
it's
3, 4, and 5. It's all banter. It's the same episode with different banter.
All right.
Once they finally turn this corner and get real again, you get some answers, and so it's worth it at the end.
Got it.
So I thought it was very good, and I think that the guy who plays the lead and the guy who plays basically the second lead, who's like who he calls cousin all the time, who you'll recognize, been in a lot of different shows. He's been like a supporting actor for a long time. His name is Ivan something. You'll recognize him when you see him. He's great and should win an award for this. Like, he's just outstanding. The acting's very well done. The dialogue is great. It is missing the, can you tell me just a little more so I care enough now, other than they have a functioning kitchen, and and a couple of the characters in the kitchen, I don't care. I care less about their lives than the main character lives. Can you just get back to that? Once you get to if you get to the end of it, it's worth it. And all the shows are half an hour, so it's a quick run.
Okay.
So that's good. We now know, according to Greg Norman, that Tiger Woods was offered between $700 and $800 million to go to the LIV Golf Tour. I assume to play, but maybe not.
Right.
So, why aren't we trading him to the Padres? Like, what are we doing here today? That's a crazy I don't care how rich you are.
I know.
That's a crazy number.
He got a nice kickback from the PGA for saying no to that.
What did they give him?
They gave him
What did they give him?
They must have given him a lifetime contract for how much per year?
They will never say a bad thing about him.
Right.
Ever again.
Right.
Rachel Ucatel? Who? What?
They're going,
Perkins Restaurant? Never happened.
What's Perkins?
Yeah, what? We don't know what you're talking about.
That one turns into, hey, Tiger, we need you to do a couple appearances. He's like, no, you don't.
No, you don't. Yeah.
Remember when I didn't sign with LIV?
You will never say a word to me until the end of time.
That's right.
I've never heard of anybody turning down anything like that.
Right.
$800 million.
We thought Soto
to do
was bad.
what? To do what? Wait, I mean, did they expect him to play or not play?
Right.
That might have been.
Would they have relegated Tiger Woods if he couldn't compete?
Honestly, it might have been. It might have been part of it that he's like, guys.
Yeah.
I can't play all these events, and I'm not going to embarrass myself.
That's right. Yeah, and I can't be relegated.
You can't relegate me, and I don't. And that probably in the end, that was probably part of it. Like,
I'm guessing so.
Otherwise, like, really, why give him all that money if he's not going to play?
Right.
Because if he plays, they get a TV deal tomorrow, and they know it.
Yep. Right.
Because they just have to follow him for at least a year. Everyone has to follow him. He's Tiger Woods. And then would he get the Phil treatment if he's over there? Nope.
No.
Nope.
Not at all.
Nope. Tom Rinaldi's going to do wonderful pieces with him.
Right.
How do you turn that down? Wow. How do you turn that down? I guess Soto is saying the learners are going, what was that you were saying about us? About turning things down?
This is a question, though. Didn't Nike dip back into his waters, too? Isn't he back with Nike?
I'm sure. I'm sure the PGA Tour was like, help us out here, guys. Do you understand what's happening right now? I think there was a lot of things in motion to make sure that he goes nowhere, and that is primary sponsors who work with the PGA Tour had to start lining his pockets again. Because if he's like, am I still persona non grata around here? Because if I am, ta-ta, hello, Saudi Arabia.
And somebody says, like, oh, I want world peace to happen. It's like, well, you know how complicated world peace is? Yeah. That's getting Tiger to go to live.
That's right.
You don't just go there and things are fine.
Yes.
Nike has to weigh in. The PGA has to weigh in.
It's a G7 summit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a lot of people involved.
A lot of moving parts. Yeah.
That's right. Head of Nike's there. Head of everything's there. Man. Well, good for him. Must be nice to turn that down.
By the way, Mike Rizzo due to speak to the media in just a little bit. I wish the Nats didn't have a weird operation, or else we'd air that, but I don't know where to get it from. So
we can't air that live.
I don't know where to find it live.
If someone actually streams that, we will play it live, and we will definitively parse every word that he says today.
Right.
All right, I'll be right back. Bray Weinstein Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital.